Writers can sequence their stories bit by bit to sequence the order of what happens first, next, then, and last. Let's see how you can do this as you're writing your personal narratives in class. Remember, writers tell stories bit by bit. They put the story in order. They figure out what happens first, next, then, and last. Why would a writer do this? To plan out each part of the story you want to tell. Good writers think about the order of their story and they plan it out. And they think, what happens first, next, then, and last? When you're in class writing stories, how can you do this? Well, first, when you have an idea about the story that you want to tell, you can tell it to a friend and use your finger. So tell your story to a friend across your fingers. Do this by sharing what happens first in your story, next, then, and last. Another way that good writers can tell their stories bit by bit is to touch the pages as you tell your story in order. So you're going to take your paper and touch the page and tell your story. Good writers can do this before they put down pictures and words on the paper. Another way that good writers can tell their stories bit by bit is to go back and think about the first part and write and draw. So you think about the story that you want to tell and you think, what happens first? And then write and draw that. And then what happens next? And write and draw that. And break your story in order bit by bit. So good writers tell stories bit by bit by putting the story in order. And they think about what happens first, next, then, and last. They do that to help plan out their story so that when it's time to write, they'll have some ways to organize their thoughts, either by sharing their idea with a friend and touching and telling the order of their story, touching and telling the paper, or you can think about the part that happened first, write and draw, and then think about what happens next and write and draw. That's what good writers do when they're sequencing their story and putting them in order about what happens first, next, then, and last.